All right, today working on a tulip vase. So I'm doing the Mount Vernon Tulip Festival Fair, which is April 17th through 19th in Mount Vernon, Washington. So I'll be up there selling my stuff. But I figured I'd make a little tulip vase or something, to commemorate the festivities or whatever. So anyway, basically what it is, it's a vase with a bunch of extra stems on it, or extra spouts on it, for single tulips. It was popular in Holland. They're pretty famous for their tulips, so yeah. Anyway, figured I'd do that, try to come up with some kind of form or whatever. So working with about 8 pounds of clay. I've wedged some magnetite into it, granular magnetite. See if I can't get some speckles going on my clay body. As far as magnetite goes, it's really best in reduction firings, because reduction firings will bring the it'll help flux the iron, but we'll see what happens. I just wedged a little bit in there. I was at the pottery place today and saw some of that, and I was like, hey, I'll give that a try. So we're gonna give that a try. But yeah, let's get to it. So I'm just gonna make a vase, and then what I'll do is I'll throw a bunch of spouts to go onto it, and then I'll connect them all. So go ahead and do that. Probably throw the vase and everything today, and then connect all the spouts tomorrow. So yeah, just centering up, coning up here. Get it nice and centered. When you're working with larger amounts of clay, it's always easier to center the top first and kind of push that centering down into the base to get the base centered. These are pretty large, opulent things, but we'll see how it looks. See if we can't make something nice. So I'm pretty stoked. That Mount Vernon Tulip Festival Street Fair, it's a juried show, so you have to apply and send in a bunch of pictures and everything, and they accepted me, so I guess that I'm one of the people that qualifies. Yeah, we'll just open this up. Some fingers in there. This is going to be kind of a wider form, just because I need to add a bunch of spouts and stuff to it, so need spaces for, or need spots for them spouts to go. So if I was going to go tall, it would be harder to add all these extra little side vases to it. I'm opening down far because won't be able to trim this. Just with all the add-ons to it, it won't trim. I won't be able to flip it upside down and trim it. So getting pretty close to the wheel head here on the bottom. Let's go ahead and compress the bottom from the outside wall in towards the center. I'm using a 14-inch bat on my 12-inch wheel head here, so it's I just had it on the wheel head already from something I made that was bigger, so yeah, just compressing that bottom down. Don't want that. You want your bottoms on your vases to be nice and compressed so they don't leak. You don't want a weeping vase. All right. Just go ahead and do the initial pull here. Just trying to move some clay up into the walls. Compress the rim. So this is going to be bottom heavy because of all the additions and stuff, and then we're going to go into a vase form at the top. So keep the top of your cylinder manageable. You don't want to get it too far out there. We'll go ahead and do a pull now. Dry spot in there. I think that's the magnetite. For another pull here. Nice cold day here in Seattle. Just finished snowing this week. There's still that chill in the air, even though it's like 45 degrees out. So it's nice and cool out here in my shed. I got my crock pot on. If you throw in a cold area, be sure, get yourself a, go down to your thrift store, get yourself a nice crock pot, used one, and use that as your throwing dish. You don't have to worry about having cold water if you do that. Just gonna pull a little bit more up into the walls here, just evening out. Now we're gonna color this in a bit. We're gonna start working on our form now. Just going to hit it with a rib, stiffen up the walls a bit, because I'm going to be stretching them. So just use this to help even out the walls. Saw a little bit of discussion today about just letting the clay do what it wants on the wheel versus you telling the clay what to want, what you want. It's like if you want to express your opinions or your ideas through your clay or your artwork, if you believe in that. Then you need to be the one in charge and not rely on your clay to do something for you. If you just sit down and let the clay do what it wants, you're not the artist anymore. The clay is the artist. So a good way to exercise that is to when you figure out a form, make that form over and over again. If you're not planning what you're doing before you do it, then you're not going to be the master of what you do. The clay is. So yeah, it's nice to, if you're just doing some therapy or whatever on the wheel, that's something different. You just sit down and do whatever you want, but if you have an idea to express or something like that, then you need to have the skill to express that idea and make the clay do what you want it to do, not the other way around. So the only way you can do that is practice, practice, practice. So I think of it like learning the piano. When you learn piano, you're not playing songs right away. You're doing scales and you're figuring out. And what that does is it helps you figure out the tool that you have. And in a piano, that tool is the piano. In clay, that tool is the clay. So if you want to be able to write a symphony, you have to do all these exercises that you feel like, are a waste of time, but really what you're doing is you're training your fingers to express what you want to express. And once you get that muscle memory, then you can start writing your grand opus, But until then, you got to do your drills. And in clay, the drills is nothing hammers those drills in quite like doing the same thing over and over. So I encourage you to draw. Use a sketchbook, draw a form that you want to make, and then make that form over and over and over again. And if you do that, when it comes time to explore new forms or sit down at the wheel with no plan in mind, then what comes to mind is easier to express on the wheel, because you've got that muscle memory, how the clay feels when it's at its limit. You have all that background. So for this form, I'm just gonna stretch this out a little bit more into a collar here, or into a shoulder. So I'm just gonna lift up some of this bulge here. Before I close in the neck. I'm just stretching with my fingers inside, guiding it against the rib. Getting a little bit more of that bulk off the bottom up into the wall. Get into this shoulder here to make a nice strong form before I close in the neck. I'm thinking of where I'm gonna put these extra little, they're not spouts, but I don't know what to call them. You'll see in a bit. So yeah, I'm just kind of thinking, where I'm going to place them on the shoulder there. So I'm just going to try to collar this in a bit. Get some moisture on there. It's dry. The wheel speed a bit, helps in collaring. So I'm just going to touch this shoulder up a bit, get some of this slip off. And then deal with this neck here. All right. So this is kind of the form that I decided to go with. I'm just gonna chamois the rim here to make it nice and smooth. So my idea is kind of maybe a bouquet of tulips here, 4 or 5 tulips here, and then I'll make spouts to go along the edge here. So go ahead and set this aside. And we'll start on the next bit. So for these spouts, I'm gonna throw them off the hump. So grab my hump here, my hump of clay. I gotta reset my camera. All right. So, just throwing these off the hump. I'm just gonna go for kind of a not quite a teapot spout, but a similar. Similar shape anyway, or similar process. Just get that centered up. We'll pull it up. So I'm just going to grab a ball of clay up here, pull it up into a cylinder, I'm kind of trying to mimic the shape of that. Mimic the shape of the whole vase that we just made. It's kind of a bulbous little guy with a rim on it here. Just kind of look at that while I'm making my little additions here. Anyway, just kind of keeping that shape in mind while I'm making this. a little something like that. We'll just cut that off. Just gonna find my cutoff wire. There it is. And then we'll just set that on a bat. Okay. Let's do another one. Just do a quick couple of these. Alright, so that's it for the spouts. I think that I'm gonna throw for it. Probably only use 3, maybe 5, maybe 4. I don't know. Anyway, so I will see you guys when this is done, or when these are a little bit more set up and I can attach them to the vase there. So yeah, I'll see you. It's gonna be magic, but it's gonna be the next day. All right, so the next day, got this leather soft or so. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and add our little extras. So let's go for that. I got myself a handy dandy protractor. You know, you might remember these from your middle school geometry class. They're not just a handy math tool. Well, I suppose they are just a handy math tool, but we will use this to mark our 3 spots where we're going to add these little spouts. So just set it on there. As you know, a full circle is 360 degrees. So that means every 120 degrees we need to mark a spot. So we're just going to mark 0 degrees, 120. I'll flip this up, line it back up with the 0 degree, and then we will go 120 here. All right, so we got our 3 marks here. And let's see. We'll just go ahead and draw a little line where we're gonna put the tops of our little spots there. All right. So, got a few of these. I'm gonna see what angle we want to put them on here at. I was thinking kind of upward tilted. So we will just mark on here where we're going to cut it. Something like that. Yeah. So we will just continue shaving this down until it's fitting up against there. Just kind of set it there and see where you need to take more off. So you take more off here. More off this side. All right. That looks pretty good. I think I'm going to actually put this a little bit higher. I'm going to put them like right there. Yeah, I think that'll work good. Just going to take a little bit more here. Okay. So then I just mark around where the joint will be. Like that. We'll go ahead and add this one now. So you can tell the thickness here. It's about 1/4 inch, so we'll just cut out a circle here with our X-Acto blade. Like so. Put this back up here. Dry fit it. Can actually take more off here. A little bit more. All right, perfect. So then we just score really well. These actually stiffened up a little bit more than I was anticipating overnight. I had the little space heater going in here, and it actually worked for once to dry stuff out. So just score this bad boy. I usually like it to be a little bit more soft when I add spouts and stuff like this, just because you can form it to the shape of the pot better. but we'll use lots of slip and hopefully it won't be a problem. Alright. So I got a bucket full of slip here. And this is all just Ceramics 101, joining two pieces, you know, score and slip. If you're joining two pieces that are kind of leather hard or so, try to get some thicker slip to use. If you get too much water in your joint, it's gonna shrink and crack, so try not to use real thin slip when joining two pieces. But just line it up. Nice. And then I just kind of wiggle it back and forth once it's on there until I can feel it kind of catch. And once it catches, I just leave it. I leave this slippy mess, and I'll touch it up after. So on to the next one. All right. I think we got that one pretty well right off the bat there. Kind of easier after you've done one. You kind of know how much to take off. We'll just once again go around the edges here. And cut our hole. Dry fit it, make sure it lines up well. It does. Yep, and then score and slip again. Don't be afraid to go nice and deep with your scoring, especially if it's a little bit harder, a little bit stiffer clay. Alright, and back to slipping. do our wiggle on again. All right. And then on to the third one. This one's got a little bit of slip on it. Probably cut that part off. All right. So. Okay, looks good. Cut her open. Score. Slip. All right. Squeeze it on. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Get it nice and set on there. Perfect. There we go. I think that'll hold some tulips. Now let's I usually wait a little while, but let's see. Which one was the first one? Oh, I know which one. It was this one. All right. Let's see if we have a paintbrush here. Yeah, but it's seen better days, so let that one soak for a bit. I've got this here. This ought to do. So I'm just gonna push slip, starting with the first one that we put on. So it's already slip is starting to get hard from the clay drawing it in, or drawing the moisture in. So just go around and compress that slip into the joint. Doesn't have to be pretty for now. So just go around it with either a paintbrush or I'm using like a little rubber rubber tipped smoother thing. And if you want, you can go through the inside and clean that slip up too with it. Just so there's no spikies or anything. And go to your next one. Do that one. Just really compress the slip in. If there's a spot that you see like an obvious gap or something, just grab some slip and slap it in there. Should be plenty of slip around the joint. Let's go ahead and do that. Touch up the inside. Right. And then the last one. The slip's still pretty gooey, but the idea is the same. If you see a little gap, go ahead and fill that in. Compress it into the joint there. Clean up the inside. This is actually pretty nice. These nice wide open openings I can get my finger in. Usually I'm doing, you know, teapots or pour overs or whatever. You can't reach your finger inside to smooth it. So yeah, just get that joint nice and smooth inside and out. And then normally I'd let it sit for a while, but why wait? So I've got instead of buying a fancy, what is that, Mud Tools sponge, they're finishing sponges. A little hot tip for you. Daiso, which is like the Japanese dollar store, and maybe US dollar stores probably have them too. But they have a pack of makeup sponges. Of all sorts of different shapes and sizes, and they're just like a finishing sponge. So it's $1.50 for like $500 worth of mud sponges. So if you're ever out and about and you see a Daiso, stop by, grab yourself a pack of makeup sponges, and they're like wonderful, wonderful cleanup sponges. Very smooth. So just clean up your joints there. The sponge. If you don't have a cleanup sponge, just use a normal sponge. We're just gonna kind of clean this slip off and smooth these joints over. Smooth the rims, kind of. I was handling them, kind of put some marks in them and stuff. So yeah. There we go. probably do a little bit of extra cleanup before it gets fired. Maybe hit it with a piece of sandpaper or something if there's any obvious weird things going on. But yep, here we go. It's my take on a classic Dutch tulip vase. I will be sure and save this for the Tulip Festival. That will be really fun. And actually, you know what? I was at the ceramic supply yesterday. And I saw a sprig mold. And I picked it up. So let's grab that. It might be fun to add some little sprigs to this. Okay, so this sprig mold's got, I don't know, just various doodads, little lugs you can put on stuff. So we'll grab, got some clay here. Let's add some doodads to this bad boy. This is jam. Jam that spot full and take yourself a rib, scrape off the excess. Kind of different directions here. There we go. And I just do that so that the sprig has a nice flat back coming out, and they're all going to be the same size. Pop it out. Let's make a couple here real quick. Sprigs are a nice little way to add something just a little extra. Normally on a vase or something, I try not to do too much extra because you don't want to distract from the flowers that are going in the vase. So, but this form traditionally is very extra. It's like crazy extra. A lot of cobalt work over a white tin glaze, and very extra. So man, this one doesn't want to come out. I'm gonna have to take it out. Let's see. Well, we'll give that one a minute while we're adding this one. Sometimes it just needs a little bit to, little minute to suck some of the moisture out of the clay. Okay, what we'll do is we'll add one of these bad boys between each of the spots there. All right. Put that there, mark where we're putting it. Grab a dollop. Wiggle it on in the right spot. There we go. And boom, there's a, I don't know what that is, kind of a flowery shape. Oop, it's coming. There we go. third one while we're waiting. Okay. There we go. Okay. Score it. Get yourself a dollop. And push it on. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. There we go. This is number 2. Alright, let's see if number 3 is ready to come out of here. There we go. Score it. And these are commercial sprig molds, but you could you can make your own. I've made my own. Here, let's see. This one is this one's a little monkey. Inside, I just poured plaster into a Altoids tin for that one. That's kind of cool, you know, a little monkey. Sure. You can take a mold of like a kid's toy or pretty much anything, and use that. Okay, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. There. I think that looks pretty cool. So yeah, anyway, I'll get this thing all dried out and fired and up for sale pretty soon. All right, thanks for watching.